Shanta is consciously quoting Coriolanus, where Caius Marcius Coriolanus goes off into exile, defying his own people, and describes himself as like to a lonely dragon who is seeking to go to a world elsewhere. And loneliness is almost a condition of the kind of life that Asha, the main character in this book, seeks for herself. It's a kind of obverse coin of what she sets out for her life. It carries with it the burden of loneliness. But she does defy the traditions of her society, her parents who wish her to have an arranged marriage, to choose the person that she wishes to spend the rest of her life with, to marry. And without spoiling the novel for you, I think I can tell you that the marriage is a complete disaster. And one of the most extraordinary successes of this book is that I've rarely read of a marriage in a novel that has so sucked me in, and made me almost like that moment in Othello when Othello is about to kill Desdemona, and however often you see it, you want to stop the actor and say, don't do it, please, pull back, it's a terrible mistake. Similarly, as you read this novel, you want to say to Asha, don't do it, don't marry him. You can see he's a bastard and that he's going to make her unhappy and wreck her life. But she willfully pursues it. I won't go further into that because it would spoil the novel, but that is an important theme. Now, we are in a society where we're reading, not just in the Asian context, but in other contexts too, a lot about forced marriage and people who choose to reject it and seek alternative ways of fulfilling themselves, and it doesn't always end happily. And that is another theme of this book. So, place of women in the modern world, loneliness, education and intellectual aspiration, and this extraordinary theme of the constraints of marriage and the defiance of those constraints may not necessarily lead into a happy outcome. And finally, Asha moves away from India, and that's when the point of the book ends, and it almost invites us to ask Shanta Acharya to write a follow-up to it, what happened next, because clearly there is a big world opening up for her, but it's a world of complexity and obviously going to be a world of frustration too. So I'm hoping that there will be another novel. I think I've probably said enough, hopefully to whet your appetite, and Shanta is now going to read from the book, a couple of passages I think, and then we'll have a short conversation. But I do want to congratulate her. I really admired her book, I enjoyed it. If I can say it without it sounding patronising, it gets better and better as it goes on. And at the end, you think, wow, I've been quite hit by that book. So I commend it, and I do hope that you'll do everything to tell your friends about it, and of course, buy a copy tonight. But thank you for listening to me, and I think we should now welcome the author, Shanta Acharya.
Thank you, Alastair, and Samitaji, who had to leave early. She has a meeting at the Women's India Association. I didn't even know such an organization existed. So, well, I have to thank you all for being here for A World Elsewhere and me, because I received about 70 apologies and reasons given were the Battle of Waterloo. It's Paul McCartney's birthday apparently, 72, somebody's going there. All sorts of reasons, but mostly people have gone elsewhere, to A World Elsewhere. So I think you don't have to, go leave the country just to prove the title of the book. So I'm really glad to see you all here. And I have to thank Alastair for a very generous introduction. And I've known him for, I don't know, it's quite a few, 20-odd years now. When we first, and I will never forget the wonderful time at Cumberland Lodge, with an extraordinary place to be doing a reading with Peter Porter and Ben Ockery. Extraordinary times. So I'm sort of in that sort of state where you have a poet has published the first volume. I was very excited, been invited to read somewhere, and you have no idea what you want to read. And you really want to read the book from cover to cover. Can't do that. So I thought, I hope you will do that at some point, because that is how it has to be done. I thought I would just start with just some of the epigraphs I've used actually. I'm growing up, she thought. I'm losing my illusions, perhaps to acquire new ones. So this is from Orlando, Virginia Woolf. Happiness in marriage is entirely a matter of chance. Pride and Prejudice, Jane Austen. She did not know that loneliness can be an unnoticed cramping of the spirit for lack of companionship. And this is The Grass is Singing by Doris Lessing. And the last one, Middlemarch, George Eliot. She was no longer struggling against the perception of facts, but adjusting herself to their clearest perception. This novel has been a long time, it's been sort of slowly growing away. I've been writing away poems, and this never got written. So I thought I'd just read bits, sort of start at the beginning. I don't know why agents say that you have to grab the reader by the throat, you know. I mean, right from sentence one, the poor reader will be dead, you know, by the time you finish. So I prefer what Alastair said, that it grows on you as you keep on reading. How much longer do you plan to stay in here? Karuna whispered as she circled her right palm over her stomach. It had grown larger than the largest pumpkin she had seen. She felt the fetus move as if in reply. Tight as a drum, her skin was stretched thin. She could see the veins branching out like a map of the Deccan Delta. Karuna was getting dressed after her morning bath. She wiped the sweat off her forehead with the armchill of her cotton pasapali sari. Woven in red, white, black and yellow, they represented the colors of Lord Jagannath. She sighed in sympathy, knowing why her child had chosen to spend a little bit longer inside her. Who are you talking to? Aditya, her husband, inquired. He noticed his wife had recently started talking to herself. But so preoccupied was she conversing with her child, she did not see him until he appeared right before her. Karuna exclaimed, She moved. She? Aditya teased. How do you know the baby is a she? I know, women know these things, she said. They already had a son, Vikram. Karuna wanted a daughter. We'll call her Armita. Armita Guru, said Aditya, as if announcing the arrival of someone important at an August gathering. Nodding with approval, he added, The universe was created out of divine desire. All children are God's gift expressed through our desire. I do like the conjunction of desire and the one who teaches, enlightenment. But if we have a boy, what will you call him? So then I'll move on to another little extract. I think I would say Asha has a happy childhood, even though there are unusual things happening on the whole. It's as happy a childhood as you can have or imagine. And here she is a bit older, helping her mum in the kitchen. Later that evening, helping her mother in the kitchen, Asha asked, Ma, what is dowry? Can you die if you do not have a dowry when you marry? Did you bring a large dowry with you when you married? I wish I knew what goes on inside that head of yours, Karuna said. They were talking today at Devika's about a young bride who was killed by her in-laws because she did not bring a big enough dowry. I don't want to be burned alive like her. I don't want to marry. Asha's eyes were brimming with tears. She was chopping an onion. How can you even think of such a thing? Karuna looked at Asha, thinking she was crying. Hugging her daughter, she said, God willing, your husband will be good, loving and generous. Don't worry about dowry and marriage. You are far too young to think of such things. But you were married young, Asha.